Welcome back to another week of Instigating with Clarkey and Drury, brought to you by our friends at Larry Hudson Chevrolet Buick GMC. Ryan Drury alongside Clarkey. Very pleased to be joined by a great friend of the show, a special guest. We love having this guy on to talk Canadian football, the director of communications. And you know this guy is the voice of the Toronto Argonauts, Clarkey's boatman. Mike Hogan back on the show. Hoagie, how are you, brother?
How come they're not your boatmen too?
Right? They are. I mean,
well, say it that way.
Okay.
Our
Pardon
boatmen.
me. Let's do this again.
Okay.
The voice of our boatmen, all of us. Mike Hogan. Hoagie, man, it's great to have you on the show, and it's exciting days in Argo land, of course, with the return, of course, of Chad Kelly after the 9-game suspension, and obviously kind of a big weekend coming up here.
Yeah, Labor Day is always fun. Well, okay. The game is always fun. The result, not always, because the Argos had lost 9 out of 10 before the last two. So,
and the Ticats stuck.
Oh man, it was. It's been brutal there.
It has.
And the worst is the drive home. You know, you could have a better team than Hamilton, and they come up and rise up and take the 2 points, and then you got to drive home. And I'm in Whitby, so it's like I think it took me 3 hours to get to the last game from Whitby. I was going crazy. Luckily, I'm a guy that gets there usually 4 hours before the game. This time it was 3, but the drive home wasn't much better because there was construction on the Skyway. So, it's just one of those, okay, can we just get home? But the last 2 Labor Days have been better, some big plays, a couple of wins for the Argos. So that's what we're hoping for, obviously, from our perspective on Monday.
Well, give me your perspective on the season so far, because obviously the first 9 games, you're without the MOP. I mean, not having a guy that you would expect to be in there taking snaps under center with the skill level of Chad Kelly, it's obviously a challenge. And mind you, his suspension was very warranted, and he seemed very apologetic in his press conference during his return week last week. And overall, put together a pretty good performance, all things considered. I mean, he threw for over 300 yards. Yes, there were some hiccups here and there, but what's your impression on the season so far and how this team has done in his absence right now, sitting at 6-4?
Well, I think when you take the MOP out of, if you take the MOP of the league off any football team in any league, you're going to go, okay, what's the goal now? And, I think, reading what our fan base was saying, that 5-4 was, okay, that's about where you want to be. With or without Chad. And, Cameron Dukes came in and Nick Arbuckle, and they got the Argos through some tough games. And to come up 5-4, I think, without your starting quarterback is not necessarily a bad thing. And this is not to disrespect any skill level or any position. I think quarterback's the hardest position to play in sports. You walk up the line, you've got to do a pre-snap read. Then when you think you know what they're doing, they're going to change everything just as a ball is snapped. So now you've got to diagnose what's happening downfield. Now you have to read, which guy's going to be open. You're trying to figure out what defense they're in. You're trying to figure out where the pressure is coming from. You've got 3 seconds to get rid of the football, throw the ball up to 50 yards downfield and throw it through a hula hoop. And if you don't do it in 3 seconds, some 325-pound guy is going to come and try and rip your head off. So it's a very difficult thing to do, and very few guys can do it exceptionally well, and that's why quarterbacks get paid so much. And from a quarterback's perspective, Chad Kelly's really good at what he does. So the Argonauts were trying to get through that without necessarily a deep passing game, which is what Kelly does as well as anybody in the league. And now that he's back, I think that's, more of the offense that Ryan Dinwiddie has envisioned. It helps out our receivers. A deep threat makes it easier on the running back. So, you were right when you say it was tough. It's a tough adjustment for anybody. But, for Kelly to go in and throw for over 300 yards last week without a training camp and with 3 practices was pretty amazing.
Where does the team stack up now, do you think? Like, is this a championship caliber team now with Kelly back?
If you thought last year's 16-2 team was of championship caliber, we didn't win the championship, but it was a really good team. Montreal is now the measuring stick, and with Kelly back, Our offense is really good. Our offensive line is really good. Our running back is spectacular. We've got great receivers. And the defense has been getting better and better every week. And I'll put the Argo special teams up against any in the league. Janarian Grant's the best returner in the league, period. Full stop. Hyra who's been fantastic. Haggerty's one of the 2 best punters in the league. So it's a good group. And I think as, again, healthy, if everybody can stay healthy, getting that ball rolling going into the playoffs is really important. And, Montreal's the beast of the East, and they've earned that first place cushion that they have between themselves and Ottawa and us, and then Hamilton further back. So that's the bell cow right now. And, from an Argo perspective, we're chasing.
Well, Montreal has lost their quarterback too, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Cody's back. He's
fine.
Is
he back? Oh, okay.
Yeah, Fajardo's back.
He did miss some action, I guess. But.
Yes, he did.
And he's playing at an MVP level. I mean, he's been fantastic. And, I will, here's the mea culpa. When he left and went and took over in Saskatchewan as a full-time starter, I was curious. He had been with the Argos as a backup. He had a really nice run at Nevada where he became the first quarterback other than Colin Kaepernick to pass for like 3,000 career, 5,000 career, whatever it was, and rush for over 1,000 yards. So he's always been that guy who could run, even though I don't think people think of him that way. He's a good passer, good runner, and he's just got that intangibles personality that he can lead. So I'm thrilled for him. I just wish he wasn't that good against us.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way. And obviously he's a great player, and he's right up there with some of the best players and most exciting players in the league. When you look at Montreal, you mentioned, obviously they are the beast of the East. When you look at them on paper, I mean, they're 10-1 as we record this, and they're the defending champs. You got to deservedly give them their flowers. But some of their wins recently have not exactly been in dominant fashion. They've almost tripped themselves up a couple times, as a matter of fact, particularly against teams out west. When you kind of reflect back on last season and the record the Argos put together and how high-flying they were and how it ended, and you look at Montreal right now, do you kind of see a similarity where they could be a team? I know they're the defending champs. Don't get mad at me, Als fans. I know a couple of you. But do you think that there's a similar situation where what happened to the Argos last year could happen to this Alouettes team this year?
Well, I mean, of course it could. I mean, it's one game. Every football playoff game is game 7, right? Because it's sudden death, every one of them. So, it's that team, as I mentioned, that's going into the playoffs on a roll that is usually the most dangerous one. And Montreal could stay on that roll. They could continue to get better. They just got Austin Mack back, who's a great receiver. So, they're adding something to an already good offense. So, every team in the league, though, has that, geez, I wish we had done something a little bit different game. And you're right. Montreal beat Saskatchewan primarily because Saskatchewan's field goal kicker, who's been dynamite this year, missed 4 in one game, which is just way off the norm for him. So yeah, they've gotten lucky to a degree, but every team that ends up with that kind of record has those games. We had them last year. A lot of things have to go right to have that kind of record, but we were 16-2 last year. Edmonton also finished 16-2 one year, 89, I think, and neither team won a Grey Cup. So, have a great regular season is great. It solidifies. Home field can be ridiculously important in the postseason in football because you have the noise factor that you don't have, isn't as disruptive in other sports as it is in football, when a quarterback's trying to call a signal and can't because of the noise involved. It's a very difficult thing to do. So getting that home field, working the regular season for home field, getting that first round bye is important, but it's not necessarily a guarantee that you're going to go to the Grey Cup. And in the Grey Cup, flip a coin.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, I don't know the last time I looked at the CFL standings at this late in the season and saw the top 3 teams being Eastern Division teams. It's crazy, and it's so tight in the West. Has it happened that the top 3 teams are from the East in decades?
There's I don't know what year they implemented the crossover, and there've been a couple of teams where the crossover, which if you're not CFL fans, if the 4th place team in one division finishes with a higher record than the 3rd place team in the other division, it crosses over to the other division and becomes the 3rd seed. It's happened a few times where the West has had, a team that's been better than the third place team in the East. It's never happened the other way.
No.
If Hamilton had a couple of breaks because they've lost a couple of heartbreakers, they could be in a position to do that this year. This is weird. Hamilton's in last place in the East. They're closer to first place in the West than they are to third place in the East. It's just one of those years. It hasn't happened often, but that's where we are this year. And it's what's made the league a lot of fun this year on one level. For the fans, it's great, but it's also been every team going, pulling their hair out of their heads because everybody's losing games that they don't think they should.
And the Argos have had a great home record against the West.
Yes, they have.
5-0 at home this year against the West, and we're done that part of the schedule. So we only have 3 home games left. They're all against the East, but the Argos haven't run the table against the West 5 times since 2004. So it's been a good year. The East is dominating the West this year. Again, that hasn't happened in a long time to this extent. But there are a lot of games where teams from the West. Look at Saskatchewan last week. Oh, we should have beat them. Winnipeg came into our building and went. Left very frustrated that they didn't win. BC has that argument. So it's been that kind of year. Conversely, the Argos went into Saskatchewan and uncharacteristically turned the ball over a bunch and made that trip home going, what if? It's happened to every team in the league, and that's what's made the league a lot of fun this season.
You got to love the victory by Rouge, eh?
Yeah, Canadian. Damn it.
I agree.
Let's dig into this.
He knew that's all he had to do. Just kick it as hard as you can out the end zone and you win.
I haven't asked Liram or Mickey Donovan, who's the special teams coordinator, about that play. I know this happened in Montreal 2 years ago. Boris Beattie was the kicker, and it came down last play, and Mickey told Boris, whatever you do, I don't care if it goes straight, but get it over the uprights and out the back of the end zone, and we win the game.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Liram was told that before the game. I'm sure he was, and this is his 7th year in the CFL plus his time in the NFL. Liram knows the rules. Yeah. So I'm sure he just wanted to get the ball away from the uprights and long enough to get it into touch. Mission accomplished. So people can bitch and moan about the Rouge all they want, but it changes the way that last play was executed.
100%. I love it.
And people are bitching and moaning about it, at least in some circles, Hoagie. And I want to ask you your thoughts on, it's clear your stance on it. You like the rule. Some have discussed, and I heard Randy Ambrosi, the CFL commissioner, on Overdrive this week, and he said that there will be discussions in the offseason about not definitively, but maybe changing the rule or tweaking it. And one thing he said that he had revealed that was suggested to him potentially was that you cannot win on a walk-off Rouge if the kick is not returnable. So I don't know what kind of tweaks people are looking for here. Again, it's a rule that everybody's aware of. Is it a little different, a little silly maybe to people that only watch NFL in college? Yeah, but give us your thoughts on it. And if there were to be tweaks, what would you do?
Let me throw this at you. Hirala, who kicks that ball. We'll use that because it's a recent one. Goes back to the end of the end zone. The returner goes, should I return this or not? Lets it go, and it hits just near the line. And there's not a definitive replay to show whether the ball landed inbounds or out of bounds. What makes that rule any different than a guy kicking the ball into touch?
I really don't know.
The goal of, and this goes back to rugby and the CFL direct derivative of the sport of rugby. You're rewarded for field position. The object of the sport is to get the ball into the end zone. So what do? You kick the ball into the end zone. And if you kick the ball far enough in field goal in an end zone that's double the size of the NFL, used to be 25 yards back in the day. It's 20-yard end zone. If you can kick it through the back of the end zone for a point, and that's what the rule says, do it. I have no problem with that. And some of the most exciting finishes to a CFL game have been the kick it in, kick it out at the end of the game. Rarely happens. I called a game a few years ago at the Sky Dome against Montreal. Kick went in. It was a tie game. Kick went out. Kick went in. Kick didn't get out. And they ended up winning. Montreal ended up winning on that play. But it was just an absolute train wreck of excitement for a while. I mean, it was unbelievable. But it rarely happens. But I like the fact that that's in there. The Argos have lost games like this. It's frustrating. But at the same time, I love it. I love both sports equally. I like the uniqueness of this game a lot, and I think it's much more fan friendly than the NFL rules.
Yeah, and that's what Randy Ambrosie also said. He said, I understand both sides of the argument, but that's where he landed. He said, look, it's a uniquely Canadian thing, and ultimately this game in the NFL too. This game is about earning field position to score points. And that's what the Rouge is. And other teams, hey, they could have been on the other side of it. Okay. And then no one out west would be complaining. So I just think it's one of those things where, it's a modern sickness of sports fans, Hoagie. Something happens, your team's on the wrong side of it. Clarkey, you know a little bit about this being a Leaf fan. Your team's on the wrong side of something, and you want to change the whole rule book. And then it blows over and no one remembers it. That's what I think.
The Argos weren't rewarded for missing the field goal. The Argos were rewarded for making Saskatchewan punt it out of their own end zone in the last minute of play. Yeah. That's where the reward comes in. That's a point for the defense as much as it is for the special teams. And
absolutely.
That's what it's all about. Saskatchewan converts on first down or second down, moves the sticks. You don't even have to worry about that kick getting into the end zone. They couldn't move the ball from inside their own 10-yard line. They had to punt from the end zone, and the Argos were rewarded for the defense flipping the field and giving the team the field position. You might not like 100%. The rule, but that's what it's there for.
The Rouge stays, ladies and gentlemen. Too bad. Okay. Us Canadians are very polite, but look, we're sticking on this one. Too bad.
Yes, we're polite. We reward a point for missed field goal.
Yeah.
We're very polite.
Exactly.
That's right. Exactly. Hoagie, we're chatting with Mike Hogan, obviously the voice of the Argos, and I want to ask you this. Obviously, we know, and you just said it, you're a fan of both sports, NFL and CFL. We know you're a big Eagles guy. He's got some gear. Let him get his gear here. He's got some gear.
I got my throwback Eagles football here.
Oh,
the old school throwback helmet here.
Nice.
Yeah,
those are gorgeous. I love when they wear those. When they wear those, it's sharp, dude.
I want to green this year. I love it.
Kelly Green's awesome, man. I want to ask you how you're feeling about your Eagles, because I feel pretty good about them despite how last year ended. How do you feel about them, and who are you looking at as maybe a couple teams that are a favorite in the NFL this year? Who could be maybe knocking Kansas City off, or do you think it's Chiefs and everybody else?
I think San Francisco's really good this year. Obviously, I think Purdy went in and surprised a lot of people last year that he could be more than just the last guy taken in the draft. That there was something to that. Bills fans, I think, have a reason to be excited. As long as you have Josh Allen, you're in every game that you play. I'd like to say nice things about Dallas, but I can't. It's just my DNA.
No.
But Philadelphia is interesting. They still, despite the loss of Kelsey, they've got a great offensive line. They just improved their running game with Saquon Barkley. The receiving core is dynamite. Their secondary was a mess. They addressed it twice in the first round this year in the draft. So, or early second round, I guess, but two very high draft picks. It's a very good team. Is it good enough to win the Super Bowl? Yeah, why not? There's probably 8 to 10 teams this year that are going in that think they have a chance at the Super Bowl and have a legitimate argument that, if everything goes right, Cincinnati's going to be good. I think there are more than a handful of teams that are going to be knocking on Kansas City's door, and that's in each conference.
Yeah, completely agree. Detroit, Green Bay, the Bengals, Baltimore. It's going to be a really, really exciting year. And it's an exciting year that continues rolling in the CFL. Labor Day Classic coming up. Clarkey, I know you're excited. Hoagie's obviously excited. We're excited about our boatmen. Okay?
Pull together. See how that works?
Before we let you go, though, it just came to me, and I thought I would give you a couple of minutes here to talk about a guy we lost not long ago, a broadcast partner of yours. I worked with him back in, I think, the early 90s. I was producing some radio games, but Pete Martin passed away not too long ago. Tell us about Pete.
I was looking when Pete passed, I was looking back through some old articles and, doing that memory thing. And I found an old media guide where Pete said some nice things about me, and I was to say something about Pete. And I said, if Pinball Clemens is the heart of the Argonauts, Pete Martin is the soul. And I stand by that. Pete was, for those who don't know, Pete was a player. He's from Toronto, started playing in 65. Ended up playing for Leo Cahill, was part of that, late 60s, early 70s, Leo Cahill traveling sideshow, as entertaining a team that never won the Grey Cup, and got into teaching. And he was a season ticket holder, and one of his old teammates, Mel Prophet, was working with the great Dave Hodge. Dave was doing the role that I do now as play-by-play voice. And Mel Prophet said on an Argo broadcast that the Argos offense could fit on the head of a pin. And he was fired. So Dave Hodge phoned up Peter Martin and said, "You want to try this?" And Pete went, "Okay, let's do it." And he did it roughly, from 1979, aside from 4 or 5 years where the station rights were flipped and they'd try other color guys. But everybody kept going to Pete. He did it from 1979 until 2010. So he had roughly a 30-year run as the color voice of the Argonauts. He is the voice of the Argonauts. And he was also the president of the Alumni Association. He was very active there, single-handedly put together the golf tournament every year for a couple hundred guys. And, he was a mentor, a friend. Miss him already.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember back listening on CFRB when I was a kid, Bill Stevenson and Pete Martin, for a former player, what a smooth voice he had. He was so comfortable and a great voice. So
here's everything you need to know about Pete Martin. I say Pete wasn't an old school football guy. He built the old school, right? So let's say hypothetically the Argos won a game 7,000-0. The quarterback threw for 7,000 yards and 27 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
Everybody leaves happy. Pete would sit back in the chair in the dome. He'd light his cigarette, even though you're not supposed to do it, and he didn't care. He'd light the cigarette and go, the Argos will never win a Grey Cup until they learn to run the football. That's Peter Martin.
Yeah, that's all you need there. He was a legend. He told it like it was, and he never backed down from anybody. That's for sure. Cigarette and all.
We had one general manager and one ownership group try to have us removed from the broadcast because we were too honest. And if you want to find two guys in media who were more, flag-waving Argos CFL guys than me and Pete.
Right.
I don't know who that would be. So, that's we spoke our minds. We were very blunt, but we did it. And we never said anything that we wouldn't say to a player, and often had to. They'd come up, "Why did you say that?" I said, "Well, why did you say I took a stupid penalty?" "You took a stupid penalty. That's why."
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It was done from a warm place, but Pete had credibility coming out the years, and he wasn't going to blow it by saying something that wasn't true. You can be pro Argo and constructively criticize him at the same time. And, that's one of the things I learned from Pete. If something happens on the field, don't sugarcoat it, but explain why it happened. The Argos have run for 12 yards and it's the third quarter. Why has it broken down? Is it the running back? Is it the scheme? Is it the offensive line? And that is the job of Pete primarily as a color voice, but me as a play-by-play guy to set the table. But we have to be honest, and I learned that from Chris Schultz as well. But Pete was my mentor. He broke me into the league, and I'm sure he's taken a lot of criticism for being that guy. You're responsible for Hogan. But yeah, Pete was great. He's as I said, he's missed already, and celebration of life coming up, and his his longtime bride, Wendy, who he met at Western University back in the early 60s. She's asked that everybody wear a jersey of their choice to the celebration of life. Doesn't have to be an Argo jersey, but celebrate sports.
Nice.
100%. Godspeed to Pete. He was a legend, and I'm sure that he's looking down very proud on the legacy you continue to carry, Hoagie. And we appreciate.
Those are big shoes, man.
I know, but you knew him better than most, and yeah, it's a sad loss, but we really appreciate your time, man. It's great to have you back on the show. We got to get you back on, especially around playoff time, and we'll see where your Eagles are sitting around that time. I'm hoping for good things for you.
I don't care where they sit at that point. Because I saw that last year.
Yes, I know. Maybe we won't ask you about them then, or when we have you on next. Mike Hogan, the voice of the Argos. Thanks for doing this, brother.
Anytime, boys. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll be right back. We're going to chat with our buddy, our golf analyst, Ian Doig, who continues to tear up the golf course, and he's got a special invite to a very special country that he's going to go to, and we got to break down, obviously, the FedEx Cup playoffs. That's next here on Instigating. Welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Drury, brought to you by our friends at Larry Hudson Chevrolet Buick GMC, and we're very pleased now to be joined by another great guest. We haven't talked to this guy in a little while, but that's because
he's been
very busy carving up golf courses all over the province. Ladies and gentlemen, the Tour Championship is upon us, and there's no one we'd rather talk golf with than our friend Ian Doig. Doigie, how are you?
I'm good, guys. Nice to be back on the show. It has been a while. I've been a little bit busy.
You have. Please tell the people. Now, we know that you've been winning senior and super senior championships up north. You've been winning a bunch of other stuff. What have you been doing lately? I mean, we can't even keep up with all the success here.
For a retired golfer.
Yeah, sorry, what's that, Clarkey?
For a retired golfer.
Yeah, well,
I heard anyway.
Apparently, I'm out of retirement.
Exactly.
You know what? I've been playing. I just played the fall championship the last couple of days down in Craiggowan Golf Club in Woodstock. Great little diamond in the rough club down there. If you're ever in that area, go play it. It's well worth the trip. Played very well. Shot 68, 70. Contended with the young kids in the regular division. I finished tied for 8th. But played well in that, and I finished 2nd in the senior division in that one. Was in Quebec a little bit ago for the Canadian seniors, finished 3rd in the super seniors and 8th in the seniors, shooting 70, 66, 69. So, I've been playing pretty good and having a lot of fun.
What's been working?
Everything's working well right now, but I've put a lot of hours. I went and took putting lessons with a couple teaching pros, gurus, putting gurus, and I've kind of picked a little bit of information from each one of them and kind of built it into a new setup and a new structure into my own putting. But the key to it always is putting in the time, and I have put in probably pretty close to 225 hours on the putting green in the last month and a half to 2 months. And it all of a sudden clicked about 15, 18 days ago, and I'm rolling the rock as good as I've rolled it in probably 25 years.
Doigie, I'm curious, because you've talked to us about this a lot before, about your putting and how that's the part of your game that's always kind of gone a little up and down. I mean, we've seen you drive the ball. You don't have a problem doing that, and you're great with your irons. The putting has always kind of been something that's been touch and go. What were you doing before that wasn't working, and what are some of the adjustments that you've made that have made obviously a very tangible difference?
Yeah, so one of the first things that we did is we addressed my grip on how I was gripping the putter. And I go back years and years and years, and it's maybe hard to show here on the show, but Gary Koch, who's one of the best putters on the PGA Tour when he played, always wanted me to get the putter grip in the lifeline of my left hand. But the way I grip the putter with my fingers, I always struggled to do that. And one of these putting gurus that I went to see, he said, well, if you change the positioning of your index finger, instead of it being curved on the grip, put it straight down the grip, almost kind of like pistol-like, that will change the positioning of your left hand. And immediately I was able to put the putter grip in my lifeline. And that aligns the shaft of the putter up more with the forearm, which keeps it on a straight path. There's no angle anymore in my wrists. And so now the putter sits on a better angle and allows me to stroke it through. So that was the first big tangible thing.
Mhm.
The second one being that I typically had the ball too far back in my stance, and I've moved that up quite a bit so that it's aligned to my left eye, even on the left edge of my left eye, which allows me to see the line better. And the third thing would be that I feel like I've connected my elbows to my rib cage, so I'm just rocking my shoulders now, and there's less movement in my forearms. And I'm telling you what, I'm making anywhere from 4 to 6 putts every round in the range of 8 to 15 feet, which has been the killer for me leading up to now. And that's why I made 6 birdies on Tuesday's round. So, and that's just because of the putting. And I made a couple 10-footers for par as well. So yeah. Yeah. Yesterday's round, I closed out birdie, making a 12-footer and a 15-footer. So
we love that. Clarkey, did you pay attention to any of that? Are you writing this stuff
Well,
down?
I've always done I always do like the double pistol grip on my putter. But it doesn't work quite as well as yours. Maybe because I've spent 225 hours in the last 50 years practicing.
Right. That's the big thing. Like I have members at the club coming up to me going, "We can't believe how disciplined you are to stand down there."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one day last week I was there for 4.5 hours, and I did nothing but putt for 4.5 hours. I have different drills that I do.
Mm-hmm.
At one point in time, I made 128 out of 130 from 9 feet, dead straight.
Oh, wow.
And so that gives me confidence too. So now when I get out of the golf course, I have more confidence because I'm used to seeing the ball go in the hole now and then I do a clock drill where I put 12 balls around in a clock around the hole. And I start at 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet. And I have to make all 12 in a row. So you have all the breaks. You have straight, you have downhill, you have uphill, you have right to left breakers, left to right breakers. And it's hard to make 12 in a row from that 5-foot range. And I won't leave until I've done it. And
do you ever put like a penny on the ground and aim for that instead of the hole?
No, because I there's a lot of theory behind that. A lot of teachers teach putt to a tee or to a penny or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But my mindset is I want to see the ball going in the hole. And the more I see it going in the hole, the more confidence I will get.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That makes plenty of sense. Before we start talking about, obviously a big weekend for the PGA Tour, what's this Australia business? Tell us about you're going down under.
We are. Kathleen and I are leaving. We're leaving October 21st. We're going for a month. I was very fortunate. Earlier this year, when I was out in Pebble Beach playing, a bunch of Aussie players were out there, and I knew many of them, and from playing on tour with them back in Asia in the 80s and 90s in Japan and stuff like that. And we just got talking about the Australian Senior Tour. It's called the Legends Tour. And lo and behold, the tournament committee got together down there, and they extended me invitations to play in the New South Wales Open Championship and the Australian Senior PGA Championship, so both senior events. And so we're heading down to play in them. We've already booked our flights. We're ready to go and pretty damn excited about it all. So yeah.
How old are you now, Doig? How old are you?
I am 63.
63. Can you shoot your age this year, you think?
That's one of my goals. Yep. I almost did it last year. It's a bit of a funny story. I was playing with Kathleen. It was just a casual round of golf, and we came to the last hole, which was a somewhat reachable par 5. And she turned to me and she said, you're going pretty good right now. And I said, yeah, I've made a few birdies. She goes, well, if you can birdie this last hole, you'll shoot your age, 62.
Yeah.
Well, I made 6.
She shouldn't have said anything.
That's right.
It's like the commentator talking about the shutout.
Shutout.
Right?
Exactly.
You can't do it.
Did you just look at her and go,
You know,
You have to tell me that.
like what's his name that had that no hitter going the other day? Did you see the bench?
Oh,
The guys wouldn't go near him, right? They wouldn't go near him, and then first hitter in the ninth inning, and they knock it out of the park on him. So
yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
Bowden Francis, that was amazing. A rare bright spot for the Jays lately. But we're here to talk golf, and we're very excited for you to go down under. A couple tips for you: don't try and box a kangaroo. Watch out for the spiders. They got some big ones down there, brother. I don't know that I could go. I'm so scared of those things. And maybe don't surf. Maybe don't surf down there. There's a couple critters in the water that might cause you an issue here. But we're man, honestly, like Doigie, we're so proud of you. I think back to what was that last summer where we watched you play in Listowel, and you were so frustrated with yourself, and to fast forward to now and watching you have all the success and add some more weight to that trophy cabinet. We're so proud of you, man. Doigie, come on, like let's go.
thank you, guys. You know what? It's amazing what a couple things will do. I'm in a really good place mentally. I feel as good as I've probably felt since my first heart issue 5 years ago. I feel strong. I feel ready. I'm ready to compete, and I'm fresh, and I'm really enjoying myself out there. I'm having fun. And
Nice.
even on the days where I struggle a little bit, because actually the last couple of days I didn't hit it as well as I have been, but because my short game, my putting is so good, hitting a bad golf shot doesn't bug me anymore. I just kind of look at it and go, oh, I'll get this one up and down, and I do, and so that's a lot of it, right? It's mindset.
For sure.
It's where I am,
Yeah.
and you know what, I'm in a really good place, and I'm happy where I am in golf right now, in my place in golf right now, and it's fun, and to get this honor to go down to Australia and play is just something else. I was supposed to go to Australia back in the 80s. I was exempt on their tour. From the Canadian tour, and I was going to go. I had my visas, I had everything in place to go, and I ended up going to Asia instead. And then I played really well in Asia, kind of on my way to Australia. But I played so well in Asia, I ended up staying in Asia for a few years. So never got down under, and now I get that opportunity. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, we're gonna
That's
have to get you
incredible.
on when you're down there.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
We'll make sure we do that. Yeah. So, and just to hold the tour in itself, like the way they do things, the first tournament that I'm playing in, they've already reached out to me. They've set me, Kathleen and I, up in housing right by the first tee. We're staying with a family. There's another golf pro who I know with his wife
Nice.
staying there as well. Just the fact that they're doing these things is incredible. We're flying into Sydney. I found out just the other day that an old friend of mine that I played with overseas just took over as the director of golf at Royal Sydney Golf Club. So I'm hoping that I can play and practice
Nice.
there. You know, it feels like everything's just kind of fallen into place, right? And so that's when good things happen.
Yeah.
Everything is coming up, Doigie. We love it. I think it's great, and we're excited for you to go down under the land of AC/DC. You're going to rock and roll down there. We know it. It's going to be great. You know, listening to you talk about where you're at with your game, Doigie, it sounds very similar to what we heard out of a guy that won last weekend in a very, very big win for him, and that's King Keegan, Mr. Bradley, who has been playing with a real chip on his shoulder. Obviously, you know, was a little sour and disappointed that he wasn't on the Ryder Cup team. He's going to captain the President's Cup team, and you can see why. I mean, he is feeling it right now. They call him the Bulldog, and he bulldozed his way through that tournament on the weekend. He had some really stiff competition down the stretch there from your guy. You love Ludwig Oberg, and Adam Scott was in there. It was good to see him in contention. There were a bunch of guys pushing him, but he comes out on top. What is so special about the way he's playing right now? And do you give him an opportunity maybe to make some noise at the FedEx Cup?
Well, obviously, and he talked about it, mindset, and you said it, a bit of a chip on his shoulder. He wanted to prove something. He wanted to prove that he should have been picked and should have been part of that team. And you know what? He's a good player, and he's putting well. I think that always boils, always at the high levels, whether it's the level I'm playing at right now or on the PGA Tour or whatever. When you're playing well, you're putting well, and when you putt well, you get confidence. And when you get confidence, the shots become easier, believe it or not, because it's kind of a big vicious circle. If you're putting well, you're not worried about missing a green in regulation because you know you're going to chip it up and make the putt for par.
Right.
So that frees you up when you're hitting your iron shot. So now all of a sudden you hit your irons better. And then you're hitting your irons really well. So you go, well, it doesn't matter where I drive it because I'm hitting my irons great. So then all of a sudden you free yourself up in the driver and you drive it in the middle of the fairway on every hole. And it's just a vicious circle, right? And that's kind of where Keegan is right now and where I am right now is we're just doing everything very solid and our mindset is really good. And so he's putting really well. And again, he had a bit of a chip on his shoulder. I love what he's doing. And the only thing I don't like about the finals of this FedEx Cup thing is the staggered start. And to me, that is going to stop him from possibly going on and winning another again this week, this staggered start thing. I just think it's ridiculous, but that's...
I don't like it either. I mean, I don't know why golf has to be NASCAR. I mean, it's very strange. I understand the FedEx point system and everything, but I don't know that it should benefit you in the way of having these staggered starts with the advantage in strokes. It's just so bizarre to me. I don't know how they can go about changing this where the points across the season still mean something for the Cup final. I don't know if it's a thing where if you finish first, you get to pick when you tee off or you get to pick a preferred partner or something. I don't know, but I don't love this either, Doigy. And for that and Clarkey's going to be all upset. But for that reason, like we can't make picks this week. It would be great to
people are waiting for our picks, buddy. People are waiting for our picks.
I'm not going to participate.
You know what I would like to do on the you talked about it on the points. So Ryan, is this? So the whole season is based on points, FedEx Cup points. So let's go into the final. Okay, so this week's tournament, instead of giving Scotty Scheffler 10 under par, everybody starts at level par just like every other tournament. But Scotty Scheffler on the points gets a few extra points starting. So then you take all the points that he gains this week, add them up to the total of the season, and then that's how the champion is determined. So, you know, if he goes on to win this week, starting at even par with everybody else, and let's just say the number is 100 points, well, Scotty Scheffler gets 110 points, right? And make it all about the points and put it back to the point side, not to the score on the scorecard. I mean, for him to start at 10 under par to me is just ludicrous. Clarkey said to us when we were before we were on air about he looked at the scores and didn't understand how Scotty.
I didn't understand it. I'm like, what the heck's going on here?
He hadn't played a hole yet, but he's 10 under par.
How's he 10 under par?
I know. Started. And that's what's weird about it, Clarkey. And
it is weird, but I'm kind of
understand
intrigued.
Your confusion. I don't want to I don't want to make picks like just because the advent of him starting at 10 under.
I get it.
Like you pick him first, and it's just like, well, okay, I guess you just.
Yeah, but he's not guaranteed to win.
But you have bare minimum a 2-stroke advantage.
I get it. Who was our guy we had on Doigy, your buddy, at the British Open?
Todd Hamilton.
Todd Hamilton was on.
So
yeah.
Todd, let's do a Todd Hamilton draft. Pick one guy, and he's got to win for you to win.
Okay.
Because like, what am I supposed to do if I'm allowed to have first pick or something? Like, what? I'm just going to pick Scotty. Like, I just like.
Yeah, go ahead. Pick up.
Well, you almost have to. You're starting with a 2-shot lead.
You don't have to.
Holy crap!
But it's it's
Who
goofy.
won the last tournament? Ryan.
I don't.
We'll pick one guy.
Like this.
And you got to win to win.
I'm going first, and this is my guy.
You're going first. Hold on. Are you sure you're first?
Well, I'm going first because I'm playing the best right now.
Okay, fine. You can go first.
Right. It's just
I'll go third. I'll go third.
Here's the thing though, Doigy. If we're gonna do this, I'm gonna contest that because this is the FedEx Cup and it's all based on points. Yeah, I won the most pickoffs this year. Should go
we've
first.
Each won one major, and that's really
that doesn't matter. That's not how the FedEx Cup points work, Clarkey. It's cumulative, and I won majors. 6 events this year. Story.
Yeah. Ryan, you got the most points. You go first.
Okay, you go second, Doigy.
And I still hate this. Can we let's have a caveat here. Like we're not picking Scotty. Okay? Like we're not
You can
doing
pick whoever you want.
No.
We're not doing any
'cause
rules.
put it
Let's
this way,
just
Ryan.
pick a guy. We're wasting
Ryan,
so
if
much
you don't
time.
pick Scotty,
Pick
I
a
am.
guy.
Fine,
go.
I'll take Scotty. Like this doesn't
Okay.
feel fair, but
Dougie?
I'll pick him.
You gonna pick your guy, Dougie?
I'm picking Ludwig Auberg.
Ludwig Oberg. Oh,
See, now he's going. He's Ludwig's like fifth, right now.
Yep.
he's hot.
So it's
though,
my
man.
turn?
Oh, he's hot.
It's your turn.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Hideki Matsuyama.
I love that
That's a good
pick too. I love
But
that
he's got
pick.
a bad
good.
back.
So we're done.
He's got a bad back. He might not even finish the tournament.
He'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, he
He'll
did
be
get
fine.
robbed this year, and he recovered just fine from that.
He'll be fine.
Hideki
Let's
and his
hope
yellow
someone
shirt.
comes from back in the pack. That's what I hope.
Well, that's more exciting. I just don't like that they do this. Like to me,
I get it. I understand you don't like that they do it, but they do it.
to
so
me,
whatever.
it's just I would honestly rather, like, I get that they're never going to do this because it's a big event, but I would rather them just at the end of the year give the FedEx Cup to the guy that finished with the most points.
Exactly.
And maybe you could play this tournament still, but have it be a thing where it still affects your world golf ranking, but maybe like they play it for charity or something. Like half the winnings go to the guy's charity or something. I don't know. I just don't like the competitive advantage of playing in a tournament like this
but
and starting
everyone
at 10
knows it
under.
going into it. So
I know, but that doesn't change that it's
play better
dumb.
during the year, and you get an advantage to win the
would
big money
be
at the end of the year.
This would be, Clarkey, like if the Leafs went into the playoffs and they got a 2-0 lead right off the bat. They'd still lose.
I'd love that.
But yeah, they'd still find a way to lose, but it's goofy.
Yeah.
I'm not
the
saying it's
division
goofy,
winner
but
in
people
the
are talking
NHL.
about. We're talking about it. They're getting the pub. It's all good.
The division winner
Whatever.
gets to start with a 3-0 game lead. I don't know. I just think it's wonky.
Ryan, I said to Clarkey when we were off the air, and I used the Leafs too. I said it's like the NHL plays the season, and the two teams that make it to the finals. Let's just say it's the Leafs and LA. And the Leafs won 60 games during the season, and LA only won 47 games, but they made it through the West and got to the finals. So we have 13 more wins than them, so we get 13 goals. A 13-goal head start going into the finals. And we can use 2 in the first game, 2 in the second, whatever, right? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It's first game's 2-0 before we drop the puck. Just
that
ludicrous.
is what it's like. That is what it's like. It's goofy. I don't know. We'll see. And we'll see if Scotty, who's cooled off a little bit of late, but he's still Scotty Scheffler. We'll see if this 10 under advantage helps him out here. But it's going to be a really exciting end to the PGA season. It's been a great year.
The other thing we haven't talked about too is the golf course went under a renovation.
Yes, it did.
And so there's new runoffs on the greens. There's now 8 holes with water in play as opposed to 6. Bunker count went from, I think, 72 up to 76 or 78 bunkers on the golf course. The fairways are contoured differently. So a guy that's played in it every year for the last few years, his sight lines off the tees may change dramatically. And that might hurt a player that's been there every year, whereas a player that hasn't played in the Tour Championship the last 2 or 3 years, and Ludwig Oberg,
Like Ludwig Oberg.
who's new, he's picking his sight lines based on the way the golf course is designed right now.
Suck it up
Yes.
and just
Right?
get on. Like, yeah, whatever. I like. Come on,
I like
these
it.
guys are professionals. Just figure it out.
No, I
The course
get
has
it, for
changed.
sure.
Aim this way instead of that way. Come on, Doig.
Well,
Yeah, but it's very subtle sometimes. Like it could be a 10-foot
that's why you
area.
play practice rounds.
That's right. But if
Yep.
you've played, like if I go play out at my place here at Tango Creek, and I play there, for the last 10 years, and then all of a sudden our superintendent goes out and shifts the fairway on 4 of the holes, 10 yards to the right or 10 yards to the left. It's going to take me 5 or 6 or 7 times to play it to get used to where do I aim it now? Right. And that's what I'm saying. I don't know if the guys would have enough time to make that adjustment. They're supposed to because they're professionals, but it's not that easy.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. It'll be interesting for sure. Interesting conclusion to the PGA season. Doigy, congrats on all the success. We're going to keep tabs on you. And thanks again for joining us, my friend.
Always a pleasure, guys. I look forward to it. And if I'm not on before we get to Australia, I look forward to being on from down under.
See you, mate.
Absolutely. Crikey, mate. There you go. Doigy on the
Good
show
on
this
ya.
year. We'll be right back to wrap things up here on Instigating. Back to wrap things up here on an exciting week on Instigating. Exciting stuff. Thanks to our friend Mike Hogan, voice of our Argos. Okay. I'm in. I'm a fan. Look, I've liked watching. There it is. I got to get me one, I guess. Another team I got to cheer for. Just take up more of my time. No, it's all good. I've always watched the CFL from afar. I've been really into it this year. I've been watching. It's been a really competitive year. And you know what, Clarkey? We'll be friends here, and I'll sit next to you on the boat. It'll be our boatman. I'll get a hat. We'll do the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's
the best logo. It's the best logo in sports.
It's a great, well, hold on just a sec. It's a great logo. Best logo in the CFL, no question. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Sports.
And can you imagine they used to have an A? Like that's what they've had some bad logos, and this boat is
the A
by far.
The A was
the boat.
Yeah, the boat
is great.
is
Like that's the oars, that's the water, the A. Like it's perfect. Like if you don't know what it is, it's perfect.
I love
so
that
good.
you're explaining what a boat is to
the
people.
Argonaut
Thank you,
Rowing
Clarkey.
Club, right? It's from the Rowing Club. That's what they were named after.
Anyway, yes,
Just
go
so you
Argos.
know.
So thanks to Hoagie for coming on. That guy's a beauty, and he's so much fun to listen to. And obviously our friend Ian Doig, who he's just tearing up the course.
And
it's
thanks
awesome.
for taking part in the picks. I appreciate it.
Sure, yeah. I just think it's, I don't know, it's goofy.
We
Anyway,
know.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's do a couch potato here, okay? Obviously,
let's do a couch potato.
we're continuing the tradition, okay?
Yeah,
so I want you to continue the tradition by going first. You're
okay.
excited.
I'm relieved.
Okay.
I'm relieved. And Adam, you can put it up. I want to make my couch potato this week a young lady named Rose Riddle. And as you can see, the house is sold. It's off the market.
Clarkey's house is off.
It's off the market. If you're looking to
market.
sell or buy a house, call Rose. There's her number, 519-235-4444. Great job. She put up a lot of questions and a lot of pestering over the last 5 months. But it's sold. It's done. What a relief. What a weight off my back. And I'm ready to
look at you, dude. Getting married, moving, new life. Who dis?
Right?
It's Clarkey, ladies.
There's a lot
and gentlemen.
going on. Let's just
You're
say
a new man.
There's a lot going on. So thanks to Rose, and Rose, you're my couch potato this week, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
How about that? Is this like a new partnership or something? Like,
it just has been definitely. I think she's maybe more relieved than I am, so she doesn't get like
somehow that doesn't surprise me.
Like hourly phone calls. Is it sold yet? Is it sold yet? Is it sold yet? We have showings.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like you at all.
It's not a fun process.
No, I get it.
I gotta get out of the house.
Well,
I gotta get Sandy.
Thanks for helping our guy Clarkey. 2024, the year of Clarkey. How about that? Everything's coming up, Doigy. Everything's coming up, Clarkey. And I'm happy for you, brother. It's a big deal. I'm gonna miss having you right nearby.
I know, but that's fine. We'll see
still
each
be
other
friends unless. All right.
Okay, what's yours?
Well, look, everything's coming up you. Well, something finally came up me, and I find it funny too. This is both our couch potatoes have nothing to do with sports.
We got to be quick here. We're nearly out of time.
I'll tie it in. Adam, put it up. Big news for me.
Oh,
big news for me.
It's Oasis. I knew it. These guys
Oasis.
How long before they start canceling?
These
guys are going to fight.
Don't say that.
They're going to fight.
They literally just added 5 more shows.
Well, yeah,
in England.
They haven't started.
Listen, don't bring me down. Don't do that.
I won't.
Yeah, as the Beatles
Yeah.
said, don't bring me down, okay?
Don't bring me down.
Yeah. All right. It was don't let me down. But anyway, I want everybody to understand
Yeah.
there's nothing more important in my life than Oasis. Their records.
Kate, you hear that?
Kate understands.
Okay.
Kate understands. No,
So they're like your Lionel Richie?
it's a joke. Yes,
Yeah.
by some way. But unlike you, who has gotten to see Lionel 107
16,
times,
17, 18, yeah.
I've never gotten to see them because they broke up in 2009, but they're back together. As the press release said, the Guns have fallen silent and they're coming back. And I cannot wait.
There you go.
I can't wait to go. They're big soccer fans, Clarkey, okay? Man City. I can't get on that train, but
yeah, I can't wait.
there you go. Oasis is back.
There you go.
The sun is shining. The sky's wide open. Everything feels possible, brother.
The announcement was made the other morning, and you were at my house at noon, and you had an Oasis t-shirt on.
I did. I wore it all day. It hurt to take it off.
Exactly.
I have a tattoo. I mean, come on here.
That's
all right.
big. I don't have a Lionel tattoo yet.
You can watch this show Friday nights at 8, Sunday nights at 9 with our friends on Whiteman TV. That's channel 6 for Whiteman subscribers. Debut on our YouTube channel Friday nights at 9. Follow us on social media at Instigating Pod. And our next show, Clarkey, will be the start of season 4 of Instigating. How about that?
That's crazy.
You've put up with me for 4 years.
It's crazy. And our predecessor, MWO Sports, was going for a few years too. It's been
4.5 years.
Wow, we're coming up on a 10th year anniversary for both shows. That's pretty cool.
Oh,
That's
Lord.
pretty cool.
How about that?
That's
we'll
crazy.
Celebrate it at an
It's
Oasis
good.
show.
It's the best show in Listowel.
It's the best show in Midwestern Ontario, brother. Dare I say Southern, maybe all of Ontario. And we appreciate you watching and listening.
Yep.
We will be back next week for season 4 of Instigating. Go Boatman.